It could be argued that our story begins on Monday, the 24th of June, 1717, at the Goose and Gridiron Public House in St. Paul's Churchyard in London, when a group of Masons from 4 local lodges met to form the world's first Grand Lodge. Freemasonry is first recorded in Suffolk in 1731, when 2 lodges, Fountain Lodge and the Golden Fleece Lodge, both of whom met at the inns bearing that name in Bury St. Edmunds. Several other lodges met in the county for varying periods, some of whom were attached to military units. Many were erased in 1754, when Grand Lodge decided to erase all the lodges that had neglected to send in returns and annual fees. But I think it is better for you to hear firsthand from someone who was there at the time.
May I introduce myself? My name is Roland Holt, and I have been a Freemason for many years, during which time I have been quite active, receiving preferment on several occasions, and I held the office of Senior Grand Warden in the Grand Lodge from 1768 to 1770. The following year, I was asked if I would take on the role of Provincial Grand Master in the province of Suffolk. Why? You might well ask. Well, my home is in Suffolk at Redgrave Hall, and contacts with London, particularly during the winter months, are rendered difficult by the hazards of travel, and an urgent query to Grand Lodge might receive a greatly delayed reply. The Grand Master has realised that groups of lodges in areas distant from London required an immediate head, to whom they might apply when it was not possible to wait for a decision from Grand Lodge. He therefore created a local official with the title of Provincial Grand Master. My role is to act as a kind of district Grand Inspector. I was vested with the power to constitute new lodges, in addition to the 2 existing lodges, British Union, who meet at Ipswich, and the Queen's Head, which meets at Lowestoft, and I signed a warrant to constitute Royal St. Edmund's Lodge at Bury St. Edmunds in August the following year. I am expected to submit an account of my proceedings, including the contributions of the lodges to the Grand Charity Fund, to Grand Lodge at least once in every year. So as you can see, my provincial duties are quite exacting, especially as I have just commenced rebuilding my home on a more spacious style to house my collections. Some would say I was a bit of a connoisseur. In any event, the Grand Master could not have been too displeased with my endeavours, for in 1775 I was installed as Deputy Grand Master, an office I hold jointly with that of Provincial Grand Master of Suffolk. Someone pointed out to me the other day that I may have set up a rather unique record, for I have sat in 19 meetings of Grand Lodge as Deputy, and on 19 other occasions I presided as acting Grand Master. I don't know how long this Provincial Grand Master business will continue. Perhaps one day someone will invent a contraption that will get you to London in less than an hour, so it is not needed. But it won't happen in my lifetime.
I'm William Middleton. I'm of Shrubland Hall. It is my sad duty to inform you that your Provincial Grand Master, Roland Holt, was promoted to the Grand Lodge above on the 24th of July, in the year of our Lord, 1786, and I have been asked to assume the role so tragically laid bare, and I summon a meeting of the Provincial Grand Lodge to be held on the 21st of November, 1790, when I shall assume that office. I served as High Sheriff of the county in 1782. I was elected to represent the borough of Ipswich in Parliament in 1784, and again in 1803. Created a baronet in 1804, and in 1805, I was elected as a member of Parliament for Hastings. Therefore, I have little time left for Freemasonry, and I don't want to be bothered with attending its meetings.
Oh dear, I fear that I should not have stayed at the festive board last evening to so late an hour, for my poor head is fairly sore. However, as Lodge Secretary, it is my duty to record the minutes before all recollection is lost. Meeting of Abiff Lodge number 73, held at Holbrook on the 28th of December 1812. The Worshipful Master proposed to contribute some relief to the widow Hammond, who fell in sacrifice to his attempt to save the life of a fellow creature from drowning. The brethren cheerfully contributed to her relief £1 and 3 shillings. That is a handsome sum, being about 7 days' wage for a skilled tradesman. In the course of the same evening, another object of distress presented itself. Maria Cullum, a young woman of good character, who was lately wrecked off Holbrook in HMS Alban, when all the crew, except for her and a young boy, were lost. 17 shillings was paid to her, and she appeared very grateful for it. I fancy I must now retire to rest, for, in truth, I'm feeling none too well.
Union of the ancients and modern Grand Lodges and the creation of United Grand Lodge of England in 1813, a total of 14 lodges were placed under provincial jurisdiction in Suffolk. There followed a renumbering of lodges, with one number being given to the oldest Ancients Lodge and the next number to the oldest Moderns Lodge, and so on. There was a further realignment of lodges numbers in 1832 and in 1863, all of which makes our history very interesting, if not confusing. Brother Middleton had not called any provincial meetings since his installation as Provincial Grand Master in 1790, but in 1813 he appointed a very energetic member of British Union Lodge as Provincial Grand Secretary.
I am Brother John E. Sparrow, an attorney and former town clerk in Ipswich, and I live at the ancient house in the Butter Market, and I've been appointed as the Provincial Grand Secretary. Now, some Provincial Grand Masters think they're in charge, but we all know it's the Provincial Grand Secretary who really holds sway, and I intend to revitalise Masonry in Suffolk. It has come to my attention that in the town of Hadley, a new lodge, Virtue and Silence, has been working under dispensation since February 1811, and that has not yet been formally constituted or consecrated. I have therefore arranged for a consecration meeting to take place on the 22nd of November 1814. I'm sorry to say that the Provincial Grand Master has no intention of attending. I attended the Lodge of Reconciliation in London, which had been set up to unify Masonic ritual after the Union. I am anxious that the agreed rituals should be promulgated to the local lodges, and I felt the ideal procedure would be for the Provincial Grand Master to authorise a Provincial Grand Lodge, which, as part of its duty, could act as a lodge of instruction, a written record having been expressly forbidden. Sir William Middleton didn't want to be bothered, so he appointed me to the office of Deputy Provincial Grand Master and told me to get on with it. It seems that the apathy of the Provincial Grand Master is shared by some of the lodges. Correspondence with Perfect Friendship Lodge shows that their refusal to make any return to Provincial Grand Lodge or attend any of its meetings. I therefore announced that they would be suspended. Abiff Lodge in Saxmundham was likewise suspended for the same reasons. It has been brought to my attention that following suspension, Perfect Friendship Lodge has continued to meet secretly. I felt that I was not getting the support from the Grand Secretaries to which I was entitled, and in September 1814 I forwarded a memorial direct to the Grand Master, His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex, complaining of the lack of support. I cannot here reveal the Grand Master's reply, but my ardour has been so dampened that I didn't call any more meetings of Provincial Grand Lodge, and I resigned my appointment in 1823.
An incident which took place 5 years later serves to show how completely out of touch with local Masonic affairs was the Provincial Grand Master. In 1828, Brother Gall of Woodbridge wrote to Sir William Middleton suggesting that as Brother Sparrow had resigned, a Brother Thomas should be appointed Deputy Provincial Grand Master. Sir William's reply expressed surprise that Brother Sparrow had resigned. He indicated that if Brother Sparrow had so informed him, it had entirely escaped his memory. Sir William Middleton died on the 26th of December 1829, and the province of Suffolk was now placed under the supervision of the Provincial Grand Master of Cambridge and Huntingdon, Right Worshipful Brother Reverend G.A. Brown, Vice Master of Trinity College, and chaplain to the Grand Master, His Royal Highness, the Duke of Sussex.
My name is John Reed, and I am honoured to have been asked to accept the appointment of Provincial Grand Master, and I am to be installed on the 12th of June, 1838. I have retired to Holbrook after an active life in India, where I have held office as a chief judge and also had much to do with the Masonic affairs of Madras. One of my descendants, Sherman Reed, would later be devised to the Admiralty, the family estate at Holbrook, together with £1 million in cash, so that the Royal Hospital could be moved from its cramped quarters at Greenwich to a more spacious life in the country. It seems particularly fitting that the present-day provincial grand meetings are held here. I think it is an important function of Provincial Grand Lodge to undertake the ceremony attending on the laying of the foundation stone of an important public building, and many such ceremonies have been conducted, including that of the new church of St. John the Evangelist. The assembly met at 12 noon, and the brethren donned their regalia, marched in procession to St. Mary Church. After the service, the procession was reformed and proceeded to the site of the new church, where the stone was laid and duly proved by the master and wardens with square, level, and plumb rule. Then on to the banquet at the Ball Inn, to which at 5 o'clock 111 brethren sat down. A similar ceremony was enacted at Ipswich in October 1843, when the site of the new custom house proved the occasion. I will remember that there was 26 toasts at the banquet, all to which demanded a response.
The death of the Provincial Grand Master, Brother Reed, in 1843, was followed by another interregnum during which the province was placed under the care of the Provincial Grand Master of Surrey, Brother Alexander Doby. In 1847, another attempt was made to re-establish Provincial Grand Lodge. On the 31st of May, Brother Thomas Grimsey, who had served as Provincial Grand Secretary under Brother Reed, was prompted by members of his lodge, British Union, to write to the other lodges requesting their views. Not all were in favour of a revival. For example, when the matter was put to the vote in Doric Lodge of Woodbridge, 4 members voted in favour, 9 against. Nevertheless, Lord Rendlesham was installed as Provincial Grand Master on the 23rd of November by Brother Doby, who now officiated as Grand Registrar. From that year, Annual general meetings have been held without break until the meeting in 2020 was replaced with a three-part virtual meeting due to the suspension of Masonic meetings as a consequence of the coronavirus pandemic, and our 2021 meeting postponed from June until today. However, Lord Rendlesham's reign was of a short duration, for he died in 1852.
I am Sir Edward Sherlock Gooch MP of Benacre Hall, and I am the new Provincial Grand Master of Suffolk Freemasons. I intend that the annual meetings of Provincial Grand Lodge should be a great occasion for the local Freemasons, and it should be seen as such by the public, insomuch as the celebration should generally include a procession in full regalia from the lodge room to attend divine service at the local church. I recall with much affection a very special meeting of the Provincial Grand Lodge, which is held at Southwold, under the auspices of the Lodge of Fidelity, the established in that town. After normal business had been cleared, the brethren were called from labour to refreshment, and the ladies and non-Masons were admitted to the lodge room. And the Deputy Provincial Grand Master gave a discourse explaining the object, history, and benefits of Masonry. When the visitors had retired, the lodge was called from a refreshment to labour and closed in due form. The brethren, in full regalia and headed by a band, then marched in procession to witness a pleasing little ceremony, the naming of the Southgate lifeboat by my wife, Lady Gooch.
Sir Edward died a few months later after just 4 years in charge, and the province was placed under the supervision of the Grand Registrar for 4 years. During the interregnum, provincial affairs were in an active state. Annual meetings were held, and in 1858, a Masonic celebration ball was organized under the auspices of the Provincial Grand Lodge. This function, held at the Assembly Rooms, Northgate Street, Ipswich, on the 25th of January, was in honor of the nuptials of Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal and brother, His Royal Highness Prince Frederick William of Prussia. Full Masonic clothing was worn.
afternoon, brethren. I am Colonel Robert Adair of Flixton Hall, and I have been asked to accept the office of Provincial Grand Master of the 11 lodges in Suffolk. And I was installed in the ceremony at the Town Hall in Ipswich on the 12th of July, 1861. After my appointment, I set about promoting Freemasonry throughout the province, and I'm pleased to say that a further 11 new lodges have been consecrated. We have, most regrettably, lost one lodge, but we don't talk about that.
At the time, there was some rum old goings on over in Sudbury, at the lodge there. Well, you see, they had to move out to Clare because the landlady at the Half Moon got good tidy fed up with their antics. So that's how they ended up in Sudbury. But then they got in a right old muddle when some of their stuff went missing and they couldn't pay their dues. The secretary was the first master, a bloke called Hustler. And what a right pain he turned out to be. Wouldn't give an account of what was going on in the lodge. You know, so they had to call the province in to sort it all out. Turned out they owed £70, but only had 20 in the kitty. Luckily, a few honourable Brit gentlemen brassed up on their behalf, but that weren't the end on it, because they still couldn't hold their meetings due to the fact that the landlady at the Rose and Crown had locked up all the lodge furniture and various other stuff, because the poor old gal hadn't been paid, you see. Well, the outcome of all that meant they were what you call erased. So they had to hand the warrant of the lodge back. Shame, really. Do you know, they'd only been going about 8 years or so at the time? Do you know, they were the last lodge in Suffolk to do that. And if you want my opinion together, we don't want any more like it, do we?
With all this additional work, I felt the need to appoint a deputy in the persons of the Reverend Martin, the rector at Long Melford. He is quite capable in every regard and acts upon my behalf whenever asked. Brother Martin was a great supporter of the Masonic charities, and it was soon realized that he personally held 1/4 of all of the votes and that they would be lost at his death. It was suggested, therefore, that an insurance policy should be taken out to provide a capital sum after his death, which would secure for the province 400 votes in perpetuity. The lodge a lodge in our province, the Lodge Prince of Wales, was honoured in 1870 to learn that His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, later to become King Edward VII, expressed the satisfaction it would give him to be enrolled as an honorary member of the Lodge Prince of Wales, number 959, of free and accepted Masons in the province of Suffolk. The Lodge proposed the resolution, which of course passed unanimously, and an illuminated copy of the record was sent to His Royal Highness, who remained a member for 40 years until he passed to the Grand Lodge above.
That weren't the only thing that happened that year, and again in Sudbury. The first master of Star Valley Lodge was a bankrupt, and the creditors wanted the lodge regalia and furniture, but the judge told them they couldn't have them because they weren't his. Then would you believe that the next master, a bloke from Lavenham, was even worse? He went round changing cheques and borrowing money off all and sundry, then messed off, leaving his missus with 5 little uns and another on the way. He ended up in America, mind you. They caught up with him, and he quite rightly got locked away. I got this here letter from an old mate of mine that's dated the 8th of April 1879. Here's what they say. You will scarcely credit it, but the Clare people have set up a petition for a new lodge, and of course Brother Martin will do all he can for them. They will probably get it, But as for them keeping it up, well, I've seen the list of petitioners, and all but a very small proportion of them have kept up their subscriptions to any lodge for years. And there's only one amongst them, out of the whole lot, who could even open a lodge. And he's never been through the chair. Now, what I do declare, there seems to be no nucleus for a lodge there. However, that's their business. If you ask me, there always been a rum old lot in Sudbury, ain't there?
I made a further inspired appointment in 1883 by making Nathaniel Tracy Provincial Grand Secretary. One of the first tasks he undertook was to compile the Masonic yearbook for the province of Suffolk for the year of our Lord 1885, Anna Lucius 5885. And it highlighted that most of the lodges did not have a full complement of officers. 12 did not have a chaplain, 11 did not have a director of ceremonies, and 3 did not have a treasurer. However, the membership numbers ranged from 20 to 101. And I sincerely hope that this initiative continues, as I find it a great source of information. I personally had the honour to preside over the festival for the Royal Masonic Institute of Girls in 1864, and the Royal Masonic Benevolent Institution in 1874. I was also raised to the peerage as Baron Waven in 1873, having been a Fellow of the Royal Society, aide-de-camp to the Queen, and for some years a Member of Parliament for Cambridge.
My name is John Major, the 5th Baron Henniker of Thornton Hall, and as a consequence of the loss of our beloved Grand Master, Lord Waven, some 2 months past, I have been appointed as his successor. Following my appointment in 1886, Her Majesty Queen Victoria celebrated her Golden Jubilee, and to celebrate this wonderful occasion, grand rank was made available to provincial brethren. And Brother William Bowby, who had worked so zealously for the Suffolk Masonic Charity Association, appeared on the first list as past Grand Standard Bearer. I presided at the 1889 Festival of the Royal Masonic Institute for Girls, and 2 years later, I held a special meeting of the Provincial Grand Lodge at my own residence, Thornton Hall, which included a service at the village church afterwards. In November 1894, the Right Honourable George Edward Mowbray Rouse, Baron Rouse, Viscount Dunwich, Earl of Stradbroke, was proposed as candidate for initiation into the Lodge of Prudence in Howsworth. What a blessing that turned out to be. The Earl of Stradbroke was initiated on the 10th of December, 1894. He passed away. He didn't pass away. He'd actually passed to the 2nd degree in January. And luckily, because he didn't pass away, he was actually raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason in February and was installed into the chair of King Solomon in 1898. My appointment as Governor of the Isle of Man in 1896 led me to be absent from Suffolk, but my Deputy Provincial Grand Master, Brother Martin, although he had actually moved to Cirencester 3 years earlier, he regularly came back to preside at meetings and transactions of provincial business until, unfortunately, he died in 1901, whereupon I promoted Brother Tracy, the Provincial Grand Secretary, to the Deputy Provincial Grand Master.
I'm well known to many of you, but for completeness, I will introduce myself. I'm George, 3rd Earl of Stradbroke of Henham Hall, and I have been appointed to rule over the province following the tragic loss of both our provincial Grand Master and our Deputy Provincial Grand Master earlier this year, and I fear that you will be hearing quite a lot of me. During my first 5 years in charge, events appeared to proceed satisfactorily. In 1907, I held a meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge at my residence, and the banquet was accommodated in a large marquee, especially erected for the occasion. It transpired that this was the first Masonic meeting attended by my son, the Viscount Dunwich, for he witnessed the proceedings from his perambulator, being just 3 years of age. Unfortunately, world events then took a turn for the worst, and I was called to undertake military service. I was most fortunate to survive a terrifying encounter when the SS Arabia, on which I was traveling as a passenger, was struck by an enemy torpedo, but other brethren suffered far more than I. I received a report that Brother George Dorrell from Corinthian Lodge in Ipswich, a sergeant major with the Royal Horse Artillery, was in France when a shell smashed into his battery, followed by shrapnel and machine gun bullets, killing a number of men and bringing down about 150 horses. His officers being killed, he took over command, and, with the dead and dying all around him, he and a Sergeant Nelson kept firing until the last shot and managed to silence the German guns. Having received promotion in the field, he was decorated with the Victoria Cross by the King at Buckingham Palace in 1915, and was later invested with the MBE by the King in a similar ceremony in 1925. Despite the untold suffering of so many, brotherly love shone through the dark days of war, and comradeship became the more necessary.
Inevitably, with so many men being called to arms, the province suffered the loss of some brethren who made the ultimate sacrifice. Captain John Cooper Myers, Doric Lodge. Second Lieutenant J. Ridley Prentice, Doric Lodge. Private Francis Hayward Wicks, Doric Lodge. Captain Norris Snell, British Union Lodge. Lieutenant Bertram Colby Ransom, British Union Lodge. Private Fred William Snow, St. Luke's Lodge. Sergeant H. J. Hines, Lodge of Fidelity. Corporal T. W. Nichols, Lodge of Fidelity. Captain H. R. Weeks, Adair Lodge. Private J. Bottrell, Adair Lodge. Colonel W. M. Arms, Stour Valley Lodge. Colonel C. H. Tippett, Stour Valley Lodge. Lieutenant Arthur Ernest Hebbs, St. Margaret's Lodge. Lieutenant Royal Naval Reserve Walter Larmond Scott, Distinguished Service Cross, St. Margaret's Lodge. Private Frank James Tidman, St. Andrew's Lodge. Captain Bernard St. John Glanfield, Abiff Lodge. Sergeant Charles Aubin Legros, Abiff Lodge. Private Samuel Rand Roberts, Corinthian Lodge. Captain Herbert John West, Military Cross, Felix United Service Lodge. To order, brethren. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you, brethren.
Following the war, membership of lodges increased dramatically as men discharged from the services sought comradeship with like-minded men. And it was reported that 9 lodges had a membership of over 100, and 9 had a membership of over 70, together with lengthy lists of candidates. Duty now required me to absence myself from the province for a period of months more, as I had been appointed governor of Victoria.
Back then in 1922, I would know what you do right. What you want to do. Sometimes they find the money they will, but you have what you do right. Like someone do. What if you need the money too? Before I said years ago, you wouldn't be what you from to do what you do right. Like someone do.
At the meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge held at Bungay in 1921, with the Deputy Provincial Grand Master in the chair, Brother S.A. White, attended from Grand Lodge and explained the objective of the Masonic Million Memorial Fund, which was to erect a new Freemasons Hall as a peace memorial. From the outset, it was stated that the project was to be financed by voluntary contributions and not by a levy upon the craft. 3 Suffolk lodges, Royal Clarence, Dipperswick and Priory, contributed sufficient monies to enable them to be designated as Hall Stone lodges, and were each awarded a Hall Stone jewel and collarette to be worn by their master in perpetuity. The names of all the Hall Stone lodges are recorded on the marble panelling near the entrance to the Grand Temple.
Having returned from Australia in 1926, where in addition to my official appointments, I also officiated for a time in a Masonic capacity as Grand Master of Victoria, I resumed my duties as Provincial Grand Master of Suffolk with vigour. I appointed my son, Viscount Dunwich, as Deputy Provincial Grand Master in 1936, but due to service in the Royal Navy, he was unable to devote much time to the province until 1946. Alas, the dark clouds of war were again beginning to form, and in September 1939, Grand Lodge suspended all Masonic meetings. But a few weeks later, permission to resume was granted. At the 1940 meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge, it was reported that membership had decreased. But I stressed that so long as quality is maintained, quantity is of little importance. At the 1941 meeting, it was reported that during the year only one meeting had been cancelled, and that through military requirements. However, many lodges had amended their usual arrangements. Some had changed to daytime meetings due to blackout restrictions, or now met only during the summer months. Some had a change of venue, as their usual meeting place had been requisitioned for wartime activities, and many had dispensed with a festive board as a consequence of food rationing restrictions. The meeting was also informed that it had become necessary to impose a second fine to one delinquent lodge under Bylaw 8 for failure to forward their annual return promptly. Our green and pleasant land became the home for many American servicemen, with the development of numerous new airfields in the area, and about a dozen brethren from constitutions in America had degrees conferred upon them in Suffolk lodges.
Chicago way. He had a boogie style, but no one else could play. He was a captain at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, I'm blowing reveille. He's a boogie, boogie, bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day a cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company drums when he plays reveille. He's a boogie, boogie, bugle boy of Company B. A tootly attitude, he blows a mate to the bar. A boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar are playing with them. He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's a boogie, boogie, bugle boy of Company B. He was boogie, boogie, bugle boy of Company B. And when he plays boogie, boogie, bugle, he was busy as a busy bee. And he makes a boogie boogie boy accompanied me. Tilly-ada, tilly-ada, do-do, he blows a knee to the bar. He can't blow a note unless the bass sing guitar is up with him. And he makes the company jump eight to the bar. He is a boogie 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 boy accompanied me. To sleep with Boogie every night, and wakes him up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet, because they know how to play. When someone gives him a treat, he really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's a boogie 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 boy company B. Ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba ba ba. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of company B.
During those dark days, everyone did their bit, and the Royal Masonic Hospital had cared for over 8,000 cases of sick and wounded people of all ranks, all services, and all allies during the war, at the expense of the craft. I fear that one day I may be in need of their services myself, as in the past few weeks I have presided at the meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge and consecrated 3 new lodges. That brings the number of lodges up to 36. I've certainly seen many changes during my 45-year tenure as your provincial Grand Master.
Fourth Earl of Stradbroke. While still in mourning for my late father, I was installed as your 9th Provincial Grand Master by the Grand Master His Grace the Duke of Devonshire at the County Hall, Ipswich. This occasion marked the only official visit of any Grand Master to the province of Suffolk. When I addressed Provincial Grand Lodge some 3 months later, I felt it incumbent upon myself to remind the brethren that Grand Lodge definitely deprecates the consumption of intoxicating liquor during the period between the opening and closing of a lodge, particularly at installation meetings. I also suggested that they may wish to consider the possibility of rather less formality at the festive board after the initial toast, as I feel 20 speeches in one evening tends to spoil an enjoyable gathering. To assist me in my new office, I appointed Sir Alan Adair as my deputy, but London also recognised his outstanding talents and exalted him to the position of Assistant Grand Master after just 4 years, and then appointed him Deputy Grand Master in 1969. The second Suffolk Mason to hold that honour, the first being Roland Holt, our first Provincial Grand Master. I wonder who'll be the third. The next decade did not see many new lodges consecrated, but of those there were some coming of age, with bicentenary, sequenticentenary and centenaries being celebrated. And the arrangements for the 250th celebration of Grand Lodge was under the direction of our very own brother Adair. The bicentenary festival of the Provincial Grand Lodge of Suffolk was held in October 1971, on which occasion we were specially honoured to welcome Brother Adair back to Suffolk in his capacity as Deputy Grand Master. 5 years later, in 1976, Grand Lodge announced that provinces with 40 or more lodges could appoint an Assistant Provincial Grand Master, and Worshipful Brother W.L. Morris was duly appointed as the first Assistant Provincial Grand Master in Suffolk. The province was also honoured by a visit of the Programme Master, Lord Cornwallis, in 1978, on the occasion of the laying of the foundation stone for the new Royal Masonic Benevolent Institution home at Bury St Edmunds, which was to take his name. Brethren, we're now in 1982. I have had the honour of being your leader for some 34 years, and I feel that the time is right to hand over the mantle to a younger man. I therefore announce today that this will be my last meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge as Master. I am delighted to inform you that the Grand Master has appointed Worshipful Brother P.J.K. as my successor.
Ah, down beside that red fine light. Ah, you gonna let it all hang out, fat bottom girls. You make the rockin' world go round. This thing called love, I can't handle it. This thing called love, I must get around to it, getting ready. Crazy little thing called love. This thing called love, it cries like a baby in a cradle all night of swing. It jives, shakes all over like a jellyfish. I kinda like it. Crazy little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot cold fever. She leaves me in a cocoa sweat. I gotta be cool, relax, get in, get on the tracks, take a backseat, hitchhike, take a long ride on my motorbike, getting ready, crazy little thing called love.
Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? I need a break. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? I need a break. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? I need a break.
Another one gone, another one gone, another one bites the dust.
I need a break. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? I need a break. Are you ready? Hey.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies. You're so self-satisfied, you don't need you. I've got to break free. God knows I want to break free. I've fallen in love. I've fallen in love for the first time, but this time I know it's for real. I've fallen in love. God knows I've fallen in love. It's strange, but it's true. Yeah, I can't get over the way you love me like you do, but I have to be sure when you walk out that door. Oh, how I want to be free, baby. Oh, how I want to be free. God knows I want to break free. Thank you very much, guys.
The province flourished under the leadership of Brother Kay, and many new innovations were introduced, including group representatives, information technology, and a newsletter which developed into the Forum magazine of today. Brother Kay was succeeded in 1992 by Worshipful Brother R.J.R. Tile, who had a very busy first year in office, with no fewer than 4 new lodges being consecrated, followed by 1 on each in the subsequent 3 years. The festival, in aid of the Masonic Trust for Girls and Boys, raised £1.7 million, and there was a Suffolk Freemasons charity gala concert at the Snake Maltings Concert Hall, compared by Willie Rushton, the co-founder of Private Eye, the satirical magazine, and relayed on BBC Radio 2 to an audience of 2.75 million listeners. The event raised over £10,000 for Suffolk non-Masonic charities. The Provincial Grand Master, Right Worshipful Brother R.J.R. Tile, gave his final address as Provincial Grand Master at the 2004 meeting of Provincial Grand Lodge. His successor, Right Worshipful Brother IBJ Ross, was installed by the Pro-Grand Master, Most Worshipful Brother, the Most Honourable, the Marquess of Northampton, at a meeting held on Friday, the 9th of July in 2004, here at Holbrook. Brother Ross continued the good work of supporting Masonic charities by presiding over a festival which, culminating in 2009, realized almost £2.5 million, the largest amount ever raised in Suffolk. Having only completed a record-breaking festival a few months previously, the Provincial Grand Master launched an appeal at the beginning of 2010 in aid of the East Anglian Children's Hospice, who wished to build a new children's hospice in Ipswich. At the conclusion of the appeal in 2011, members of the province had contributed in excess of £171,000, and the provincial Grand Master represented the province at the official opening of the Tree House, where he was able to outline our generosity to their royal patron, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge. Brother Ross announced that the annual general meeting in 2013 would be his last as provincial Grand Master. His successor, Right Worshipful Brother Ian John Yeldham, was installed by the Deputy Grand Master, Right Worshipful Brother Jonathan Spence, on the 11th of July 2013 in a ceremony held at Trinity Park, Ipswich. At that meeting, the new provincial Grand Master announced that there would be a 5-year festival commencing in September in aid of the Royal Masonic Benevolent Institution. In addition to the provincial Grand Master's annual reception for ruling masters of the lodge, a new initiative was launched in the form of a summer barbecue for newly initiated Freemasons and their partners to meet each other and the provincial executive in a relaxed setting. The Suffolk Light Blues Club was also formed, with the aim of being a social group for newer members to meet informally and visit each other's lodges. The annual meeting in 2017 was a most unusual event. 2017 marked the tercentenary of the United Grand Lodge of England, and the day comprised the annual convocation of the Holy Royal Arch, followed by the annual meeting of the Craft. Nationally, the main event was Bringing Light to the World, a theatrical and musical celebration of 300 years of organized Freemasonry, performed by a company of professional actors, which inspired the provincial Grand Master to request something similar for today's celebration. Brethren, you will be the judge of the wisdom of such a request. The 2019 RMBI Festival saw the Brethren of the Province respond with their now familiar generosity, raising almost £1.6 million by way of a variety of activities, including a family fun day, a variety show, and the brothers Andy Gentle and Nick Moulton cycling to every lodge in the province. 2020 brought an unprecedented challenge to Freemasonry, with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in our meetings being suspended and our daily lives curtailed to an unimaginable level. But Freemasonry in general, and the Provincial Grand Lodge of Suffolk in particular, will demonstrate its resilience and rise above these disruptive challenges, as it always has, and it always will.
Now, first of all, I wish to introduce you to our Assistant Grand Master, Sir David Hugh Wotton, who has come down to join us today to help celebrate this 250 celebration. And I am delighted to see him. Now, this province never stops astonishing me, and the brethren within it. From our meeting earlier today, it grows and it grows with enthusiasm and anticipation of what's coming next. And I did say to the boys, we thought the 300th celebration in London was fabulous. Shall we try and emulate it? To a small committee, Graham Saywood, Graham Colthorpe, Ken Kingston of Gainsborough Lodge, and our secretary, and other input from my deputy, my DC, and our assistant secretary, Trevor Tinley. So our cast, we've got Werner Frenzel-Reid, Paul Furman, Paul Vella, Andy Robson, Keith Clark, Danny Rowe, Chris Saunders, Larry Ben Susan, Ken Kingston, Clive Lavery, Greg Underwood, and the funny old gentleman here, Stephen Bayfield.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. So, what I wish to say that my musical director, my provincial organist, who put together the music and all the surrounding with our string quartet, and these wonderful girls that sung to us. But you may have noticed on the photograph when they were singing that there is a third member of their group. And if you're a harmony group and you've lost 30% on the morning of the day that you're going to perform, and they still said, we will come along and we'll do it. Now that's it. Thank you. So once again, you stood up to the plate, boys. You performed a most beautiful ritual as part of an entertainment to our guys that have come along to help celebrate 250 years, for which I thank each and every one of you. Assistant Grand Master, may I give you the microphone.
Provincial Grand Master, brethren, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. When people in positions such as myself, rulers, are offered the opportunity to come to events like this, we often have no idea what it's going to be like, and I was given no warning at all, I'm delighted to say. What a fantastic event, what a fantastic performance. Huge effort has gone into the preparation of this. Best done not by dry history, but by tracing the last 250 years of masonry in this province through individuals, through human beings represented here. I did notice, Provincial Grand Master, that on every occasion on which the name of a residence of your predecessors was given, it was something Hall, Furnham Hall, Flixton Hall, Henner Hall. So, Provincial Grand Master, what's the name of your hall? I thought the singers were absolutely fantastic. I didn't know until Ian mentioned it to me that you had lost one of your number today. But wonderful performance. Thank you very much, evoking the spirit down the ages. I think that masonry has lost something down the years. I'm thinking of the 26 toasts and responses and the 20 speeches. But Provincial Grand Master, there is time enough later on during dinner to make up for that. What, brethren, do I personally want to be, now having heard that? I want to be the boogie-woogie bugle boy in Company B. And I'm sure somebody will tell me in full about the goings-on in Sudbury. But thank you very much for everyone who's taken part in the preparation and the performance today. Absolutely wonderful. I'm having a wonderful time here, and much better than I might expect at a normal Masonic event. Provincial Grand Master, brethren, thank you very much indeed.
So, brethren, I know most of you are dining with us. We are going to leave this room now and return to the dining room of the Jellicoe Bar. We will have 50 or 45 minutes between now and the time that we dine. Use the time wisely, circulate, meet others, get to know the other guys that took rank this year. The stewards, I know, have known each other but haven't had the chance to get together. It's been something we've practiced over the years, and there's some wonderful friendships made on this very day that you are appointed or promoted, and I wish that to continue. So thank you for all your input thus far, again to this wonderful team and the organisers, the rehearsals I know that you've been to, and the time and energy you put in it to make it absolutely fantastic. So thank you all so much thus far, and we will look forward to joining you and seeing you in the dining room and the Jellicoe Bar. Thank you.